the 2nd of November, the year is 2018, and the time is approximately 9 p.m. East African time. A very good evening to you, and thank you for tuning into BrandPlus TV. It's always a delight knowing that you've taken your time and are keeping us company. I am Ondiro Ganga, ready to bring you up to speed with all the top stories making headlines, and as you know, we're all about business. Here's a glance of some of those stories.
So we're teaching programs that are not useful for the economy of our country.
Ministry of Education Parliamentary Committee meeting set for a shake-up. Safaricom half-year results. What do the numbers say? TMX Global coin launches first pre-ICO. Kenyan-owned cryptocurrency. Thank you for staying with us. Now on to our top story. Ambassador Mina Mohammed has today said that the Kenyan education university system needs to be streamlined to offer students quality education. This, she said during a meeting she held on university funding with members of parliamentary budget, education and research committees and university dons at the Kenya School of Monetary Studies. Take a look.
To have these discussions on these two major issues.
Speaking during the meeting, Education Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Mina Mohammed acknowledged the fact that university education has witnessed rapid growth in the last 5 years, occasioned by increased student enrollment, programs and faculties.
The fact that our public universities have grown from 7 to 31 in a very short period of time, and that we've had a 400% increment, right, in the number of universities we have. The fact that because of that, actually access to university education became much better.
Vice Chancellor Laikipia University.
However, the rapid expansion has brought with it challenges. To this, the CS noted that the expansion has compromised the quality of services in universities due to financial constraints.
One of the things that I noticed as soon as I came in was that you continued admitting students even as your situation worsened, right? And I made a comment that no other institution does that. Actually, nobody else does that, not even at the level of our homes. Yeah? You don't continue incurring expenditure that you actually don't have. You don't continue using resources that aren't available to you. So that's one of the things that we'll have to address. How do we ensure that the resources that we have, are able to train the human resources that you're trying to train in your universities?
It was actually most of the cuts which came as a result of...
Further to this, she went ahead to challenge the universities to align their programs to the current and future market demands.
What do we do to rationalize? And I think a better case would be made if, in the recommendations that were made, you aligned your programs, right, to the demands of the market. Because there's a total mismatch. I had told somebody 50%, Professor Dwell, and he said, no, it's actually more than 50%. More than 50% of the capacity that you're producing, right, is not actually able to access jobs on our market. So we're teaching programs that are not useful for the economy of our country, because as you know, our economy has been moving very, very fast. But also, we're entering a fourth industrial revolution period, yeah? And there's specific programs that we need to be able to participate and to exploit the opportunities that will be present in this fourth industrial revolution. Somebody said before that we were left behind by the first one, the second one, and the third one, and that we must make sure that we are actually fully prepared for this fourth industrial revolution. So the alignment of your programs to the demands of the market, I think that also is key.
Vice Chancellor.
While expansion has increased access to university education for Kenyans, Ambassador Mina says the government will uphold moratorium on charters. This is to give the established universities a firm foundation before further expansion is done.
As you actually probably know, there was a moratorium that was issued on the establishment of new institutions, and if they're already established, on the issuance of charters, right? That moratorium will continue for a while. We will also be discouraging the establishment of constituent colleges, because we must make sure that you do not continue facing these challenges that you're facing right now.
Once we have the ceilings, our work is to make sure that
Though Ambassador Amina Mohammed had to leave for different engagement, and as such, the deliberations and recommendations of the meeting will be forwarded to her before she meets the respective parliamentary committees. It is the hope of all stakeholders that the much-needed overhaul in the higher education sector will happen sooner rather than later.
Make your case clear, you can be heard. Otherwise, with those few remarks.
Telco giant Safaricom PLC today released its half-year results at their Michael Joseph Center. This comes in the wake of increased taxes on airtime, mobile data and mobile money transfers, which directly impacts the telecommunication industry. Take a look at that report.
Safaricom PLC today announced its half-year 2019 results, which saw its net income rise by 20.2% from Kenya shillings 26.20 billion to Kenya shillings 31.50 billion. Customer number also witnessed a slight increase of 1.5% to 29.94 million as at 30th September 2018 from 29.49 million as of 30th September 2017. Voice services revenue also increased marginally by 1.4% from Kenya shillings 47.35 billion to Kenya shillings 48.03 billion for the period ended 30th September 2018. Messaging revenue, however, saw a 1.2% dip from Kenya shillings 8.92 billion to Kenya shillings 8.81 billion. Mobile data revenue, despite the tax, increased by 10.8% from Kenya shillings 17.55 billion to Kenya shillings 19.45 billion for the period ended 30th September 2018. M-Pesa revenue saw a significant growth of 18.2% from Kenya shillings 30.0 billion to Kenya shillings 35.52 billion for the period ended 30 September 2018. The CEO, Safaricom PLC, Bob Colimo, while addressing the stakeholders during the result release, pointed out how the high taxes are affecting business, with the biggest loser being the customer.
We're actually facing some pretty challenging times for our business, as our consumers grapple with inflation, higher taxes levied on M-Pesa, voice, SMS, mobile, and now fixed data. Our business is actually finding itself forced to maintain an increasingly delicate balance. On the one hand, we have to deliver relevant products and services at a great value to our customers, whilst on the other, we have to protect shareholder value. And despite the opportunities that we see for sustained growth, we're concerned about the impact that greater taxation is having on an already strained consumer budget.
With Safaricom PLC being one of the major contributors to the GDP, the CEO was hopeful that the government will retract its tax policies.
In the last financial year, our revenue accounted for 6.5% of the country's gross domestic product, generated largely by customers who were able to enjoy our voice, SMS, data, and M-Pesa at lower cost. The government will reconsider its position on these new taxes, and through engagement with all the relevant stakeholders, come to a more sustainable means of generating income.
That's as fast as you need to go.
Chairman Safaricom Board of Directors, Nicholas Nganga, added his voice to the tax dilemma as well.
I think it would not be reasonable or unfair to expect
our shareholders to bear the burden of tax on behalf of customers. While it is still too early to determine what the impact of these changes will be, we continue to engage the government in the hope that together we can find a middle ground that will offer relief to Kenyans and at the same time support the government's growth plans as envisaged in the Big Four agenda.
The group continues to be a major contributor to the revenue of the government and remitted Kenya shillings 47.93 billion in duties, taxes and license fees for the period ended 30th September 2018. This brings the total duties, taxes and fees paid since inception to Kenya shillings 628.32 billion.
Kenyan TMX Global launched its first cryptocurrency that aims to establish itself as the first digital currency in the country. The system is focused on reversing the hostile logistic environment in the country. Our reporter Daisy Wambua sought to find out what all this meant and brings us the following report.
Speaking during the launch, the TMX Chief Executive Officer Anthony Njoroge outlined the challenges in the cargo logistic business that they hope to curb with the launch of the coin.
We're excited that we are here today to launch our project. Basically, the project is dealing with logistics, and of course, logistics has a lot of problems. Issue of delay of documents, customers don't have proper information, issues of problems at the ports, issues of corruption and all that. So we want to deal with that and also help people be able to track and trace their documents or their cargo globally. The potential of that market is $14 trillion. So we want to tap into that market as a TMX Global coin. And it's starting in Kenya, our motherland. So I'm excited that we could start and we're moving forward.
The CEO continued to state that they are using blockchain to improve cargo logistic business by enhancing transparency in the whole system.
We're bringing openness so that the customer can be able to have information of where the product is and what they need to do before they import. Because in the past what happens is that the container comes to the country, then you're told you're supposed to have done A, B, C, D. Now we want to remove that so that it starts from information before you ship the goods. So that's what we're trying to bring into the country.
Young people are our future. He further noted his aspirations in Kenyans taking up the opportunity and the benefits the action will translate to.
The blue economy is our partner. In fact, they are the biggest partners because anytime you ship anything from anywhere in the world, it has to go through the sea. And that's where so we'll be working the shipping lines. People like Maersk, people like Evergreen are part of our partners. So we'll be working with them. So I'm going to be part of that conference. I'll be able to go there and share our interest. Maersk are also doing something on blockchain. So we want to see how we can work together as a team and be able to make the economy better for all of us. Our expectation is that Kenyans can buy into this project, users of the project, so that we can be able to have a community. Because once you have a community, then you have a business. Without community, there's no business. So the thing is, Kenyans buy into the token so that we can be able to work together to grow our economy and create employment for our young people.
In attendance was the Principal Secretary Shipping and Maritime Affairs Ministry of Transport, Nancy Karigithu, who sought to understand how the stakeholders can leverage on the blockchain technology to improve on the country's maritime transport.
Blockchain technology and how we can leverage on it to improve our maritime transport logistics.
All of us together. She continued to outline the openness of the government to take up new ventures that enhance efficiency and ease of doing business.
The government, let me say, is open to solutions that improve the way we do business, that also helps to grow the GDP, that also helps to improve our ranking in ease of doing business. So, of course, we are open to learning, and it's one of the issues we'll be talking about at the global conference.
We send money over the internet.
The PS did not fail to invite people to the Blue Economy Conference that will be held at a later date this month, where blockchain technology will be a key discussion.
I want to encourage you to please come to KICC for the Global BE Conference. Let's dialogue. let's educate one another. Let's see how much we can learn from one another and how we can occupy that space within our blue economy to ensure blue growth, jobs for young people like you and others.
As activity around blockchain technology continues to gain momentum, we can only hope that as a country, we shall take advantage of all the good it promises and with it, reap the economic benefits it promises. Reporting for BrandPlus TV, I am Daisy Wambua.
The TMX Global coin has begun.
Last night, IDEV International held yet another Csuite Podcast recording at Meta, Nairobi. The lady of the night was Wandia Gishuru, CEO of Vivo Activewear, sharing her entrepreneurial journey. Take a look at that report. It is the dream of many young people to become entrepreneurs and their own boss. A quick brush through the social space and you will bump into hashtags like boss lady or boss in the making. However, how do we get them there? That is the bridge that IDEV podcast recordings are trying to build.
Entrepreneurship is a term that can loosely be used. A lot of it is, Kenyans maybe mistake this as a side hustle, and it's not. If you decide that you want to walk the path of entrepreneurship, you have to be committed. So you have to know from the get-go that you are actually walking this journey into entrepreneurship. You're leaving, let's say, corporate employment the way Wandia left, and you're now actually focusing on building a business. And you cannot just build a business from nowhere. You have to have, the right strategy, a business plan. You have to have financing. So she saved over a period of time to give her seed capital so she can start. And the beauty of youth is that, when you start your business, you still don't have as much responsibilities and as much commitments. So it allows you that bandwidth and flexibility to try a few things and to be able to make mistakes. Because one thing that's clear from the podcast series is that all these entrepreneurs have made mistakes in their journey and they've learned the hard way. It's not been easy, but the key snippets I would say is consistency, hard work, commitment, as well as honesty. Being able to be transparent enough, let's say with your suppliers and say, I'll not be able to pay you this month, with your staff to say, payroll might be delayed and things like that. So I think it's a journey and it's not for the faint-hearted and it requires a lot of commitment and persistence.
To get young and aspiring entrepreneurs to gather and listen through the whole podcast, Esther Mwikali, head of community and operations Meta, highlighted that the organization has had to devise strategies to see the recordings come to fruition.
How you make it show up? First, your design. You have to have good designers who know what they're doing and how to put the message out. We have to ensure that the content is good. So when you're saying that, let's say, for example, today's example, Wandia is going to be speaking about her life story. What do people want to understand? They don't understand her entrepreneurial journey. They don't understand how she was a lion at one point. She just understand why she left World Bank, Citibank, and the likes and started off Vivo. So the story and the content has to be important and relevant. How do you make it upbeat? We ensure that the moderator is upbeat as well, just as we had Winnie. Make sure the person who's moderating knows exactly the story of the person behind it and actually can drive the conversation through up to the end and keep the person engaged and also the audience engaged.
Appeal to the Kenyan market. With a bigger chunk of the audience being young, Wandia nudged that the best time to start a business is when one is young. Though tough, it's a blessing in disguise.
I actually envy the younger generation who are trying to do this. Because I think, especially if you've not had 10, 15 years of being employed and being a corporate, there's less to unlearn. I think if you start young, while you still don't have a lot of commitments, so you're able to work longer hours, you're able to take more risks, you're able to live in your parents' house and not pay rent, or whatever it's going to take. I think you can really throw yourselves into it in ways that when you're older and your lifestyle has changed and your responsibilities are bigger, it becomes a lot harder.
Having run her business for many years, she has learned valuable lessons that she went ahead to share with the audience.
Spend the money on the things that are going to make the difference to your clients. So it's not about the car you're going to drive or how fancy your offices necessarily are or even what you're wearing. Yes, you've got to look good and be respectable. Buy Vivo. Don't. And that I see. I think when you're young and you suddenly find you do a good contract and you make a lot of money, you might be tempted to put that into something that really isn't going to make a difference to how your business grows. So that would be the kind of advice I would give if I was mentoring somebody younger, and then also to be a bit more patient in terms of how quickly you expect things to really grow. But having said that, sometimes our generation might hold you back because that's the way we've been wired. And yet young people, if you don't limit yourself, maybe you'll grow 10 times faster. So I mean, there's anything else? I mean, now's the time to just put in crazy hours, talk to as many people as you can, be as open-minded as you can to listening to advice. Not that you have to follow everything you hear, but it's really great to get different perspectives. And when you start to hear the same thing over and over again, then it's like, wow, there must be something there.
Kitaka Mushori, one of the attendees after the recording, was nothing but filled with hope and aspirations from listening to Wandia's story.
Personally, I feel like my takeaway will be Wandia has been quite encouraging and inspiring on her story from working in a corporate for 10 plus years and now moving on to the journey of entrepreneurship, just showing us how you can face fear and walking through the hurdles and challenges that you get in a normal business. And now that her company is growing with 100 plus employees and the culture that she's trying to spread, it's just quite inspiring for people who are looking to go in there, looking to switch careers from a more professional level and, going away from the security to more of a stable kind of business-like.
With the job market getting tighter and the jobs scarce, time is ripe that we groom and continue to nurture the young generation into the entrepreneurial space.
What is your advice?
Staying with youth empowerment, the Africa Alliance of YMCAs, which is the largest Pan-African youth network, organized the second Career Manenos Expo, which kicked off today at the YMCA Center Grounds in Nairobi. The event brings together young people from all over the country to meet and network with professionals and organizations from different sectors of the economy with an aim of connecting the youth to opportunities. Our reporter Daisy Wambua attended day one of the event and brings us the following story. Take a look.
And then we have Kenya YMCA.
Speaking during the expo, the regional coordinator Youth Affairs in Nairobi, Emily Maina, was quick to point out that the government has put the needs of the youth at the forefront.
The government really cares for you as the youth, because on each and every occasion when the president is talking, when the deputy president is talking, when every pastor is talking, NACS talking, they talk about the youth. And we are saying the youth agenda permeates in every sector of this country.
She continued to highlight to the youth the need to utilize the skills they have to make the country better, as they have solutions to most of the problems they experience.
When you are put together on a day like this is a very important day for you to reflect that you should be able to have solutions to most of the challenges that you are having, instead of just saying, let the president help you, let who help you, because the solutions are within yourself. If you look at...
She did not forget to outline what the ministry is doing in an effort to ensure that the youth are part and parcel of the government's Big Four agenda.
What we are doing as a ministry, we are picking data for the youth who have skills in various areas. Are you good at painting? Are you good at maybe electricals? Are you good in the areas of piping? We are picking that data and linking you up with the people who are doing construction. We even have some youth who have already formed companies, and those companies are able to supply the equipment we are building is going to be done. So we do not want you to be left behind in the Big Four. And these are ways and means that the government is ensuring that you people are empowered. On this particular...
Speaking of the readily available opportunities to the youth, The regional coordinator noted that the YMCA will sign a memorandum of understanding with the Youth Enterprise Development Fund to ease access of government funds.
What we are saying is that there are extremely many opportunities for the youth, and you very well know there is the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. I have seen them there, and they are going to sign an MOU with YMCA, and this is a great platform for the youth so that they can be able to access the funding. That funding is coming from the government. The government has actually set aside money for the youth, and up to now we have 12.4 billion that has been given so far.
The initiative secures local financial and in-kind support to hold the event and side processes so that young people interact with various professionals and organizations for skill building in entrepreneurship, job preparedness, and opportunities for further training and work placement. Ultimately, the goal of the whole process is youth economic empowerment. For BrandPlus TV Business News, I am Daisy Wambua.
Now let's shift gears and take a look at how the markets performed today. Here is a summary. Summary of how the markets performed, but for more in-depth analysis of the same, tune in Monday morning from 8 a.m. for my next big bet with Bertrand Deritu and Karanja Daniel. Now let's take a look at the day's weather report. Well, we've come to a close of the Business Bulletin tonight. On behalf of everyone that made it a success, thank you very much for watching. Catch us again on Monday at 9 p.m. same place, same time. But until then, think business, culture, and lifestyle. I am Ndiro Ganga, and I'm in business. Case closed.